Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Kolleen.
And I'm Marjorie. Tonight we have international best-selling author of new adult and contemporary romance, Rachel Leigh. Congratulations on your soon-to-be-released book, Wicked Scandal.
Thank you.
I read Heartless Monster. I loved Rome and Elodie, and I am excited for his twin brother. I forgot his name. I'm so bad at
Wilder.
Sorry. Wilder. We were just talking about it earlier, and I was like, yeah. And this is like part of the Misfits series, so I'm super excited.
Yeah. And I was able to read Wicked Scandal, and I finished it. I sent you a message. I finished it the other night, so it was so good. I loved it.
Thank you. I'm so glad you liked it.
I pre-ordered it, so as soon as it hits my Kindle, I'm reading it. I was like, I can't wait to do this. Read this. So before we take a deep dive into the book, we have a couple of questions to get to know you better.
Okay.
So first question is, other than writing, what are your hobbies?
Reading, which I don't get to do as often as I'd like anymore. Things just are so busy, especially now that my kids are on spring break summer break. I wish it was just spring break. No, I'm kidding. A lot of my free time is mostly spent with my kids. And I used to love like crafting. Like I had a pre-cut machine, and I used to love doing like vinyl crafting and sublimation. But it's been so long since I've had a chance to do any of that. And eventually I'd like to get back into that because it was always really relaxing and nice. But mostly that. I love watching like reality TV. So I'm like sit on the couch in my pajamas with coffee and watch TV type of gal. I have no problem just sitting around if I have the chance. So
yeah, I get that.
That sounds relaxing, actually. Like do nothing and just sit down.
Yeah. And I like baking and cooking and things like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. So I guess part of the hobbies, what is your number one guilty pleasure?
Reality TV. I love like Jersey Shore, Teen Mom, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, The Challenge. I love watching those kind of shows. Love on the Spectrum. That's one that I watched the whole thing. I love that show. I love watching other people's lives.
I know, right?
Drama.
It's like
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think the last one I watched was Vanderpump Rules. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm actually watching the Bridgerton now. I'm in between books right now, so I just started the Bridgerton series, the third season of that, and I'm like really, really excited for it. So
I heard it's good.
Yeah, I'm on the second episode. So that's like it's raining here today. So I plan today after I'm finished with all my work stuff, because I just packaged a bunch of orders, and I'm like, I'm gonna get everything done, and then I'm gonna go lay in bed and watch Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the next question, I guess you kind of already answered it, but out of all those reality TV shows, which would you say is your favorite?
Oh man, I love watching The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I think those and Bachelor in Paradise.
Okay.
I love the romance and the drama, and yeah.
Then you have to watch Housewives then, right? Or no?
I haven't watched that. No, but I need
Housewives of New Jersey.
I have such a list. I need to like move down my list, because I have such a list of different shows I want to watch. There's just not enough time in a day.
I know.
It's almost like a TBR for like books.
Yeah, it is.
Right. TV show.
Yep.
Yeah. So are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Right.
I get up early and I go to bed early. Well, I wouldn't say I go to bed early. I get in bed early. So I'll usually like read, watch TV, and then go to sleep. So yeah. And then I get up early.
What's your idea of early? Like 6 in the morning?
Yeah, like this morning I woke up at 6 and I kept telling myself like I can sleep in, go back to sleep. I could not go back to sleep though. So yeah, 6.
Oh my gosh. No,
But
that's Marjorie. She's up early. I can sleep all day.
I'm usually up at 4. I mean,
yeah, okay, so you're earlier than me.
Yeah. 4, but I would be like reading, and then by 5 or 6, I'll be like, okay, I really need to get up and do stuff.
Mhm.
I'm awake
Well, and I
now.
think with me, I like getting up early because my kids are still asleep. My youngest two are 9 and 6. So once they're awake, like it's like I'm up. I gotta go, go, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm up before them, I can like drink my coffee, catch up on like social media stuff and
Mhm.
just relax and, read if I want to, whatever I want, because they're asleep. I can do
Yeah.
whatever I want. That's my free time.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is your favorite author if you had to choose?
Gosh. It's so hard to pick. I'm over looking at my bookshelf like, man, right now I just started an Elle Kennedy book, The Deal. I'm really loving her books. Ella Fields is one that I've read all of her contemporary books. I love
Okay.
her writing is so beautiful and like the angst in it. So she's always been one of my favorites. I buy all her paperbacks. But I also it's so hard to pick just one person. It's so hard. Yeah,
I have to
it could
read Elle
change, 'cause
Kennedy.
I have a long TBR right now. I have so many books that I'm like really excited to read. Like I'm on a break from writing, a little break. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to read so many books.
Yeah,
In
right.
reality, I'm probably only going to be able to read like one or two maybe before I have to start writing again. And yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to recharge. You got to.
Mm.
That was I have to say, in my opinion, that had to be a tough book to write.
Which one?
Wicked Scandal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like, I don't know what it was, but it almost like drained me. There was a point where I wasn't sure I was going to be able to finish it. It was very intense.
Yeah.
And also one of the things I'm so used to writing bad boys, like as the main male character, as the love interest. And Wilder was not bad in any way. He was such a sweet guy. And there were so many times where I'd be like, okay, he needs to do something naughty, but he can't. It's not his character. He needs to like do something. But writing Catherine's husband that was intense. Yeah. And her poor heart, like my heart broke for her as I was writing this stuff. Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah. As a reader, it was too.
Yeah.
So I get to look forward to all this.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to say anything too much because if
And I
anyone
did
listens
put
to
warnings
this-
in the book because it's very
Yeah.
deep and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember reading Heartless Monsters. I'm just like, come on, like stop doing that stuff. Like you can't do that. But that's kind of like what I like with books is like, they actually put you through the ringer. And then
Yeah.
once you get to that happy ever after, it's like, thank God.
Yeah.
They ended up together
Redemption
still.
is my
Like,
favorite. Like I love redeeming the bad boys. That's like my
Yeah.
favorite part. And yeah, Wilder, he was just good from the start though. And I love him. He's always gonna have a special place in my heart.
Mhm.
Okay, so she asked about your favorite author. I'm gonna have to ask, what's your favorite genre or subgenres to read, if you have any?
To read.
Mhm.
Enemies to lovers and friends to lovers. Like I don't read a whole lot of dark romance. Even though I write like darker. I like reading like more lighter stuff. But there are definitely some dark books I like. But mostly just enemies to lovers, friends to lovers. I don't listen to a whole lot of audiobooks, but when I do, it's Megan Quinn audiobooks.
Mhm.
And so I really like those. Yeah, I would say friends to lovers, enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
I really want to start reading some fantasy. I haven't read much fantasy, and that's one of my goals this year is to read more fantasy books. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you get the right author, it really sucks you in.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
really good. Some of it. Have you ever read I can see the cover. What is that? I can see the cover, the orange cover.
Behind me.
No, I'm thinking everyone
Oh,
that everyone was reading.
Is it not Iron Flame? Is it Iron Flame? Rebecca
Something like
Yarros?
that.
Oh, is it Sarah J. Maas or Jennifer Armentrout?
I don't know now. Can you? I didn't read it, but
Oh.
it's like the big one. It was like a special edition. Oh, forget it.
Oh,
You know what?
it might be Iron Flame, and I actually have that. Or no, the
Maybe
fourth
it
wing.
is.
The
Yeah,
fourth
maybe
wing.
it is.
Fourth wing,
Rebecca
there you go.
Fourth
Yarros.
wing. That's it.
Okay, yeah, I actually have that paperback. I've never read it. I have I don't ever read my paperbacks. I read on Kindle. There's
Yeah.
like a little um, but I have the paperback, so that's definitely on my list to read. So yeah.
Yeah, have to see how that is.
I don't
gotta
know
give
where
it a
I
try.
got Iron Flame from it, but because I think it's
No, I was thinking that too. I was thinking that too.
because you said orange, and I was like, well, I think I know what you're talking about. But it's like
First word,
yeah.
my
No,
brain.
but I do actually want to read Iron. It's called Iron Flame, right?
Yeah, I thought there was an Iron
Yes.
Flame.
Okay.
There is
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
There's so many
Okay.
books to read.
There's so many books. There's all the rage, these different fantasy books and everything. And it's like, okay, add this one, add this dark romance, and you just don't have the time to get to it. And then they
Mhm.
just
I
fall
know.
down
Yeah.
the list. So
Yeah.
when did you first decide to write romance books? And if you can remember, what was your inspiration to do that?
Okay. So, I always used to write like as a teenager, I'd write like short stories. And I've said that I've mentioned this so many times, but I actually still have the first book I wrote. I was like 12.
Oh, wow.
I wrote on my stepmom gave me a typewriter because I went to stay with her and my dad for the summer and I was writing on that thing all summer long. And when I went back home with my mom, she's like, take this with you. And I was like so excited. I'm like, I got my own typewriter. So I would write so many stories on that. But I actually have my first one that I ever typed on this old school typewriter. I still have it. And so I used to love doing stuff like that. I'd write poems and just short stories. And I never really thought anything of it. It was just something I did to pass time. And then as I got older, teenager and mom, I just kind of pushed it aside. And then I started reading again when my youngest son was born. And then I had just finished the After series by Anna Todd. And like I went through that series so fast. Like I remember finishing, I think it was the second one, and I was like, oh my God, I need the third one now. And it was before like Amazon did their next day delivery.
Oh.
I was going to the bookstores trying to find it and I found it and I was so happy. And then when I finished that series, I had that like book hangover. I was like, oh, what do I do with my life now? There's there's no point in anything. What do I do now? So I was like, I'm just going to write a book. I'll start writing again. So I started writing it and then I was sending it to my mom and one of my friends. And they're like, you should publish this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to publish a book. I'm not an author. This is just for fun. So they talked me into it and I decided to publish it. And then I wrote the second book and it was a duet. It ended up being a duet. I wrote the second book and published that. And I just kept going with it. So yeah, that was in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're writing.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm so glad I ended up publishing it. And, it's very nerve-wracking, like putting yourself out there when you're like, I don't know if people are going to like this or not. And, I remember getting like my first reviews on it from people I didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, people are reading my book. So yeah, it was really exciting.
So for anyone listening that doesn't know, what book was that?
It was called Take Me Away. It was, it's not published anymore.
Oh.
And then I actually ended up changing the titles and I revamped them and changed the titles, to Chasing You. And it was Take Me Away and Take Me Back. I changed them to Chasing You and Catching You. And they're not available anymore because they need some work. I mean, they're books. So yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of publishing books, how many books do you typically release in a year?
It's about 4 books a year.
Wow.
I like early on, I was like just pushing them out every 2 months, but it became a lot. Like I started getting very overwhelmed and then I started doing signings too. So I kind of had to like rethink everything. Like my timeline, like time management. So now it's about 4 books a year. Wicked Scandal will only be my second release this year.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, Heartless Monster, then Wicked Scandal, and I'm gonna try. It might actually only end up being 3 books this year. So yeah.
Um, Now, what have you gone to signings this year, or do you have any planned?
I did. I went to Wild and Windy,
Oh,
and then Sweetgrass in Charleston. And then I had a couple more this year, but I actually canceled them. It just I'm trying to like take a little break and focus more on writing. Because it's a lot when you're traveling and I can't write when I'm traveling. Like I can't focus in hotels and like I just want to be where all the action is. Like if everybody's hanging out, I want to be there. I can't like it's so hard for me to sit in a hotel room by myself and work, knowing that everybody's, like at the after party or down, just like mingling. I want to mingle. I want to hang out. And so that kind of like traveling interferes. I mean, I shouldn't say interfere because I do love it. I love going to signings, but it just kind of messes with the writing schedule. And I just really want to focus on, for the rest of this year, I'm focusing on one book and
mhm.
I want to put my all into it without interruptions, if that makes sense.
No,
So yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard with my kids too, like leaving them all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to writing, do you have a specific like routine or schedule, or is it you just write when it moves you?
Um, During the school year, when my kids are in school, I write when they're at school.
Okay.
Like I'll do like sprints, like write for like 15, 20 minutes, take a little break, write for like 15, 20 minutes. So I mean, that's my goal. Like when they're in school is my work time. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's always the plan. And it's summer now. They're not in school. They don't go to daycare or anything. So it's like whenever they give me a break, I'll sit and get out what I can.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah. But they're not toddlers, so they can entertain themselves too. I mean, it's
No.
not
Yeah,
like,
that's a good age.
yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, I think like my son is 10, so I was like, just can you go there? Like, you are
Mhm.
summer. I don't have summer break. I still have to
Yeah.
work.
Mhm. Yep,
You
that's
have
what
to
I
like,
tell my kids.
I think we didn't appreciate it when we were kids. We took it for granted.
Mhm.
Now it's like, I think adults should get the summer off. Kids should go to school all year.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so how do you come up with the like book titles and cover design for your books?
I always like I have the titles usually planned. Like if it's a series, I always have the titles planned and what like the tropes and usually the characters too. Like for the Misfits, I already know the titles and which character is going to go with each, and I have like an idea of where they're going to go. The covers, a lot of times I'll find the cover model before I even write the book. I like to have my covers done before I start writing. Like that inspires me. And I'll
Mhm.
usually have the blurb done too. Now, in this case, it's a little different because I gave some description of the characters, like the rest of the siblings. But I've left out small details. Like I don't usually give them an eye color unless I have the cover model already. But I'll search for an image that I think reminds me of that character, and then I will write them into the story based on the image. So yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because then you like picture it in your head as you're writing,
Yeah.
like you see the characters.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to like get a blonde haired cover model if I have like a dark haired guy in the book. So yeah. For the other siblings, like Brogan, I gave her like we know Brogan has blonde hair, but usually I don't do female covers. It's an alternate cover and a male model cover. So I haven't mentioned what the other two brothers really look like because I haven't found their image yet. Like,
Oh,
they
okay.
just mean like basically like eye color and hair color.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, with this series, so you knew that the first book was going to be step siblings. And now this one was going to be the reverse age gap.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide what each book is going to be, like what subgenre everything's going to be?
I just kind of come up with a little storyline in my head for them. Like, I won't give too much away, but like Brogan's is going to be Brogan's going to be away at college. And her story is going to be more of like an opposites attract kind of thing, with the rough around the edges guy, enemies to lovers. And then there's going to be a couple other, like there's the other siblings. One of them is going to get, I was thinking like a coach, student coach, college. They're all going to be college from here on out. So I kind of come up with what I think would work well for them with their personalities that I've given them. So yeah.
Now I'm excited. Like, when are they going to be released again?
And don't hold me to that. It could change. Brogan's is definitely, Brogan's I have planned out already.
Okay.
And Callan's, because you read Wicked Scandal. I wanted to kind of focus a little bit on Callan so people could see that he is kind of not not on the right track right now.
I need his book.
Yeah, he is going to be one of those bad boys that I love to write. I'm already excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's like kind of like a theme for majority of your MMCs are like the bad boys, but
that's
still
why
like
Wilder was so different. Yeah.
redeemable still.
I think I've only wrote like two like really nice main male characters, and that was Riker from All the Little Things and then Wilder. All the other ones, they're, they need to be redeemed.
Like I read it.
Think. What was it? Is it Forget Me Not?
Yeah, Forget Me Not.
I mean, okay, he wasn't great, but I mean,
yeah, no, he wasn't.
He did right by her, though.
Terrible. No, he wasn't terrible. He was just very obsessed and in love with her. So he wasn't. That's not a bad thing.
I love
right?
that one.
I mean,
yeah, like I'm thinking of the White Shoes romances that you wrote. Like at least one of the guys between the three is always going to be a little bit the nicer one out of the three.
Yeah, like Maddox and the Bastards of Maddox and the Wicked Boys.
And then what was his name?
There was Jagger and Bastards.
Right.
Yeah.
I ate that.
So yeah, those guys were pretty nice too. Yeah. But I had the other two to make up for it. When I have White Shoes, I always have like a bad guy, the bad one, the nice one, and the crazy one. Just like it always works well like that.
It did.
I mean, balance.
Like with the Bastards of Boulder Cove, Neo, who's my favorite. I was like when I first started reading that, I was like, I don't know about Neo. He like just when you read him from first and the second book, he's just like mean. Like, how is it gonna work? But then once you read, his part of the book, it's like, oh, that makes sense. I actually love him. Like,
get a little bit of his backstory and like why he is the way he is once you see his point of view.
Yeah.
Which is, I was like, okay, I need to get to Neo. So now I need to like read faster with these two books. So do you, since you have, like a lot of books already out, do you have a particular reading order that you recommend for like first time readers of your books?
Well, if somebody were to ask me that, like if I get asked that at signings, like I always ask first, do you read White Shoes? And if they say yes, then I always say Savage Games. And then that Dark Desires, the prequel, is free. If they're like, no, I don't like White Shoes, then I'll recommend like Devil Air. If they don't really like anything like with any dark elements, then my go-to is always All the Little Things, because that's like my only book that doesn't have any like darker elements in it. So yeah.
Gotcha. I think I feel like I have like your reading list with me that I'm like checking off, like, okay, which one have I need to like read?
Yeah. And it's like you can sometimes with the interconnected ones, you say you can read in any order, but it's good to start from the beginning either way, even though there's different characters. But yeah. So I'm gonna go opposite, and I'm gonna go back, and because I read Wicked
Wicked.
Scandal first, so now I'm gonna go back and read.
Yeah. Yeah, with these books, I kind of wrote them in that way that they can all be read as standalones. Like my other series, they all mostly have to be read in order, like Savage Games, Vicious
Yeah.
Lies, Secrets. But these ones, they don't, yeah, you can read them in any order and it's not going to really confuse you much, except for obviously, Elodie and Rome are together now. That's
Yeah.
really, there's no spoilers or anything, except for that obviously they got there happily ever after.
With this story, how did you decide, if you know, how did you decide that Wilder was going to be with someone who was older? Like, how did you make that decision for him?
Well, for one, I thought it would be like a good trope that people might like, student teacher. I like the forbidden aspect there, but
Mhm.
also Wilder was always a little bit more mature, I think, for his age. He's very level-headed, and so he needed to be with a mature woman, and who better than his teacher?
And it was good because it was only 11 years. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like on the edge of creepy.
Yeah.
It was only 11 years. And he was definitely wise beyond his years.
Mhm.
So I feel like it worked. You'll let me know, Marjorie.
Well, I mean, even like when I was before I found out it was Wilder, the second book, I was like, I feel like he's gonna be the second book, but I don't think he's a lot nicer than Rome.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, there's gotta be something. So when you revealed the trope, I was like, okay, now that it makes sense. I like that one. Like now I'm like, I need to read it. Oh, speaking of the series, we kind of like touch base a little bit of who's getting books. Like many books do you have planned for it, I guess? For
Well, all the siblings are going to get a book eventually. I don't know how long it's going to be. I am going to write a standalone in between them. But I did put the next one in that series up for pre-order, Beautiful Devil. And it's only been mentioned in the back of the ARC. I haven't really shared much on it yet, but it is up for pre-order. But I'm not sure exactly when it's going to release. The pre-order is set out because I am working on something else right now, like a little surprise project. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I saw that at the end and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, because I misread it when I went on the on Amazon, it said 2 books in the series. And I was like, oh, so there's only 2 books in the series. But then I read the end and I said, oh, okay, just 2 books that'll be out right now. So
yeah, I haven't linked it to the series yet. I've actually been kind of I'm gonna link it eventually. I'm in my head a lot about it, thinking they're going off to college now, and I'm like, but Misfits was their their school team in high school. So in my head, I'm like, maybe I should give them a different series of standalones with a different name. But they all still grew up and graduated as Misfits. So I think I'm gonna keep it. I just overthink like that all the time.
Yeah, well, that definitely makes sense. But yeah, if that's where they all came from, I think it makes sense. In this particular book, what was your favorite scene to write?
I can say, but it might, I mean, I guess it's not going to give away because the prologue actually says what happens, but I think it's when they found Troy unalived because he was a jerk. Like,
oh my gosh.
Evil. He was awful. So then I was like, yeah, okay, we got the bad guy out of there. Now we can move on with this couple and they can go away together and then they can like fall in love because the bad guy's out of the picture now. So yeah.
That's always like good stuff. Like when you have the bad guys, like, okay, I'm done with the bad guy. Can you like just move it along? Like, like, it's always nice when they get that like what they deserve, I guess, for
Mhm.
being the
And
bad
he
guy.
deserved it. Yeah, I think he deserved it.
Yeah.
But also another one of my favorites is always the first kiss, like in a slow burn. Not even just the like intimate parts. It's like that first kiss that, you're just waiting, like, come on, just do it already. And I don't know, I get little butterflies. Even when I write it, I'm like, I get so excited when they kiss for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
was
like,
hanging off my seat.
like when you
Mhm.
read something, like especially when in a romance novel, you're always gonna be like,
Mhm.
okay, when are they gonna kiss? Especially when there's like that tension, like when are you
Yeah.
gonna do it? Is it this page, or am I gonna have to wait? Like,
Right.
like just like when they finally do it, it's like yes.
Mhm. Yep.
That's funny. Yeah. And then it's like when it's just a kiss, you're like, oh gosh, come on.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then it ends there, and we're
you're
like,
like,
I want more,
oh,
but it's just
right,
a kiss.
yeah.
It's-
But it's like the buildup. It's like
Mhm.
It
you're just like
is.
when it finally happens, like, oh, yes,
Yes.
we know you're
Yep.
gonna do it eventually. Like, but it's finally happened.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, due to the sensitive themes in this book, would you say this was one of the harder books to write from a mental standpoint?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can't really speak on it too much because I've never experienced anything like that personally,
Mhm.
but you can't help but empathize with,
Mm.
not only the characters, but people knowing that this does happen. So that's why I put the note in the book in the very front of the book so everybody could read it to know, what kind of content is in there, because, mental health is important. I want everybody to be mindful of what they're getting into. I would never not put that in and then have somebody read it who, could be traumatized by it. So it was definitely intense, because you can almost feel for them. Um, but not in a way that might be intense for some readers who might be reading
Mhm.
it. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it can be healing. So if
Hmm.
someone's been through something similar and you're
Yeah.
reading the book, I feel like it could be healing for them. Some people just know it's a trigger and that's that. But the way that this was written, I feel like it just, I don't know, it just sat like,
Hmm.
I don't even have words for it. It was beautiful. It really was like the
Yeah.
trauma
Thank
and
you.
then everything just like came full circle. Like it was a couple times I had to put it down because I'm like, oh God, I'm so stressed. I'm so stressed out. But it was a suspense, a romantic
Yeah.
suspense. I love it. And you know what? I don't think that I've ever read anything from you that didn't make me feel something. And
That
that's
means a lot because that's
yeah,
my goal. Yeah.
yeah.
I actually had an ARC reader message me and she told me that she's like, I hope this book helps somebody, somebody who
Yeah.
reads it. And that really meant a lot to me because she says she thinks it has that ability for them to see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and there is always hope. So yeah.
Mm. Now, out of all the characters in all your books, who would you say is your favorite couple?
Oh boy.
I know.
Every time I write one, I'm like, this is my new favorite couple. I honestly think Kit and Riker from All the Little Things, they're always going to be like one of my favorites. They're just, I don't know how to explain it, but that was a passion project for me. It's so like not what I normally write, but it was like one of my favorite books to write. Um, which it makes me think like, why don't I write more like that then? But I love them. It was a brother's best friend. I don't know if either of you have read that, but it was a brother's best friend. It was a tragic, like tearjerker story. So with the happy ending, just I don't know if I'll ever get over
I
it.
don't think I've read that one. I think I need it. Writing it down.
You should get download her reading list. 'Cause I have mine printed. Like,
Do
Oh,
you?
yeah.
I
It's like,
don't know.
Oh, that's
yeah,
cute. It's on like
yeah.
little cardstock.
Hmm. It came in from when I ordered a bunch of your books from you.
Oh
So I
yeah.
was
Yep.
like,
I have in all my orders.
yeah. So I was like, this is makes it easier because I like screenshotting and I have so many screenshots on my phone and I can't keep them together. So I was like, I just need
Same
somebody
thing.
to like give me this and then I can check off.
Yep, I screenshot too. If I'm scrolling and I see a book I screenshot it.
Yeah.
TV show screenshot. And then I look at my phone, I'm like, why do I have all these screenshots of random stuff?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So you started to talk about stuff that's coming up.
Mhm.
Can we talk about some projects? Like what information can you give us about what might be coming up?
Well, so like this year, writing has been like extremely challenging for me, just time wise, like family, just life. I kind of felt a little burnout. So I told myself that after I finished Wicked Scandal, I was going to write a story that's been in my mind for a long time. And it's going to be a standalone. I'm going to spend all summer writing it. I'm hoping it's like a nice, thick standalone. And I'm hoping that the words just flow and come the way that I'm wanting them to. That's going to be my next one. But I have also made the decision that I'm not going to be sharing anything on it until I'm done with the book.
Okay.
Because I want this to be like a no pressure summer. Because if I start putting deadlines and start sharing stuff, then I'm like, okay, I need to get this done. If I put a pre-order link up, then I'm going to feel rushed. And I just want like a easy sit by the pool right when I want to summer and just enjoy writing it. Because a lot of times I find myself being rushed. That's what I've been doing to myself lately. I've been rushing a lot and I don't like rushing. So this is going to be nice to just take the pressure off for myself and hopefully I'll be able to release it like this. I'm hoping like the end of the fall.
Oh, okay. We'll look forward to that.
Yeah, like well, they heard it here first.
I'll say a couple things. It's a standalone and it's why choose. So
Okay.
Ooh, I'm sold.
You're going back to why choose. Yay. I haven't read one this year, so maybe that's the one that I haven't like this last year I read a bunch and then I was like, okay, I need something that's not why choose. So I'm just like I haven't been in the mood.
After writing the Bastards of Boulder Cove and then the Wicked Boys of BCU, that was 6 Why Chooses all in a row that I wrote. And I'm like, I need a break from Why Choose. So I wrote or Forget Me Not and that Heartless Monster. And I was like, okay, now I'm like, I kind of want to go back to Why Choose for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm also like particular, like with, the author. And like you're one of the ones that I would read because I was like, okay, well, at least they're not all at once. I know it's Why Choose, but then we will get there. Like we get the kind of like couple, the story that they deserve, like how they're, it wasn't like all of them together all at once. And I was like, and I like how you do yours where each guy gets their own kind of story and we get to explore why it works and how it will come together for the whole couple,
Yeah. I enjoyed writing it that way to where like, each book was a different guy's point of view. Because then you can really, and it also adds an element of suspense too. If, let's say one guy's holding a secret. Well, if you're in their head for 3 books, at some point, these secrets are going to come out. I mean, because who like they would not be thinking about it if you're in their head. Right. So it helps with the element of surprise too, to do it that way.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I know we talked about like kind of your favorite couple out of all the books you've read. So this question is from Eliza. Do you have a specific, favorite FMC and then a favorite MMC out of all your characters?
I think Scar is one of my favorite FMCs. I just feel like she's tough and she's like, she takes it and then she gives it, those guys didn't push her. She was like, I'm going to put my foot down. You're not going to do this. Yeah. So Scar definitely is one. For the male, I'm going to like glance behind me and look at my book. I don't know. It's so hard. I loved Lev. I loved Riker. It's so hard. I don't know if I can pick.
Put you on the spot a little bit here.
Yeah, I loved Lev a lot because he was like, his lack of emotion. And then when he finally starts like feeling things again, like he didn't think he was capable of loving anybody or that anybody could love him because he didn't really know what love was. He was like, he didn't feel emotions like other people did. So once he started falling for Riley and he started to like, she breathed life back into him pretty much. I don't know. That was really special to me. And I love him, but I love them all. So I can't
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I could go on about what I love about each of them and just, yeah,
I agree with you on Lev though. It's like I was it a little bit because Ridge, I fell in love with him as soon as I read his book. I was like, okay, nobody's gonna top Ridge. And then you read, is it Maddox is the second one, I think.
Yep, Maddox.
Yeah, Maddox. And then I was like, okay, I need Lev. I want to read his point of view because he was going to he's the one that was going to therapy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, but then, like you said, it was difficult for him to kind of like, do I really like her or is it just like I'm going with the flow here or something? Because they're kind of like their story didn't start out as like, they were fall in love right away. It wasn't.
They were definitely enemies.
Right,
speak for them. Yeah.
So that was, I love that. Like,
yeah. Thank you.
Well, speaking of Lev, from Facebook, Nancy McCleary wants to know when you delete a character or when you're done with the character, somehow does that person get a chance in another book or series? Because I'm wondering if Lev can cause some more chaos.
Oh, well, I feel like his story arc is complete. Like he's happy. I do like sometimes like bring other characters into books just as like cameos. For example, in Forget Me Not, I brought some characters in from my very first series I wrote. And if you didn't read that series, you wouldn't even know who they are because I just kind of like blended them in. But they ended up being her cousins that she had never met, but they're actually main characters from one of my first series. So because she didn't know her family at all because her mom passed away and she didn't know her dad, like because he was this bad guy, but it was actually her dad's brother's kids. So Axel and Marnie, well, they're not from the first series I wrote. They are, but the two series kind of flow together. But the Redwood Rebels, they're actually the main characters in those books. So like they kind of pop in, like I'll throw them in if it's fitting. I'm not going to just like, it's so hard with the Secret Society one too, though, because like, they're not going to just appear at random schools because they go to the academy and then they go to the Boulder Cove University. So like, I can't bring them into the Misfits and have them appear at, this school because they have their society schools. So if I get the opportunity, then I will. And if it's fitting, then they can make choices.
I think we all sometimes, when we're reading, we have these characters that when the book is over, or the series is over, we're like, oh, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's why it's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I think that's why I like, when you wrote Bastards of Boulder Cove and then Wicked Boys of BCU, it's like, well, I was thinking about like, will Riley have her own? Because she had a great character arc, like even just being a secondary character in that Bastards of Boulder Cove. So I was super excited. I was like, yes, we're going to come back to Colorado.
Yeah. And I do try to do like bonus stories too, especially if it's for like an anthology or a book box. Like most all of my anthology stories are connected to my past books in one way or another. Like even if it's just like a side character that people loved. For example, there's a side character from Wicked Scandal and Heartless Monster that I'm writing right now for a book box. I can't say the book box, and I'm probably not going to say the character yet, but he's an interesting one. And he's not one of the relatives. You might be able to guess, but he's a friend.
Now I'm like trying to think like all the characters from the.
I won't say it, but
Yeah. So, because people actually ask me, is this person going to get a book? And I'm like, they could, but it's probably going to be
yeah.
more of a novella. So, versus, but that way, at least they can see what they're doing after the book is done. Like they can kind of catch up with that person and see if they get their happily ever after, even if it's just a novella. So,
fingers crossed. It's who I
right.
think.
It's kind of like reminiscent of like, like what you did with Bastards of Boulder called like Scar's parents.
Mhm.
Like you have that prequel, and then if
Yep.
if people read it, then they all come together at the end of the book, like the parents show up, and I was like, yay, we get to see them. It's like,
Yep. Dark Desires was actually written for a book box as I was planning the series. So I wrote that, and then I actually plotted the whole series after I wrote that. I was like, okay, I'm going to give them a daughter, and then she's going to have a harem. And so then I just went with it. But Dark Desires, yeah, it was for a box, for a book, or not for a book box, for an anthology.
Oh gosh.
Interesting.
I'm glad I saw that somewhere in TikTok. Like I saw that and I was like, okay, I need to like read that. Like I need that. And then it just started from there. So
Yeah.
When does the book release? This week coming?
Next Friday, the 28th.
Next Friday. Okay. So that'll be exciting. Do you get like the jitters on release day?
Yeah. And this, I don't know why I'm extra nervous about this book. I mean, I think it's either going to go one of two ways. People are going to either love it or hate it. So that's because it is so intense and it's different. So I have no expectations. I just, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm really nervous about this one now.
I have a feeling it's going to go good. I really do. I just so it wasn't like she gets her happy ever after, so it wasn't like harsh, like a super pitch black dark romance. It was so, and you have your trigger warnings. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. That's just my opinion.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel better.
I think we always talk about the trigger warnings. I skip them, so I'm just like, I read I looked at the tropes, but I also know this author, so I was like, just whatever. Like, I always tell people like, hey, don't forget to read trigger warnings. Just don't ask me what they are because I don't read them.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have any triggers, so like if I read trigger warnings, it's to encourage me to read the book versus not to read the books. So.
Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's true. I never really read them. And then like if you do the promoting, it gives you what all the the tropes and can't speak today, subgenres are. So so I have a little idea what I'm getting into, but Marjorie and I we don't have triggers. So it's good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. It was an absolute honor. We were excited. We kept talking about it all week. And congratulations on your soon to be release. And I think it's going to do great.
Yeah, thank you. I love talking with you ladies. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I'm excited to read it. So
and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, and then we can talk about it. Like you can't
send me your email or your Kindle and I'll send you an arc of it.
I will do that. I'll just do that. I need something like it's like tomorrow. I'm like not doing anything and stuff. So
tomorrow's her birthday.
I was like gonna
happy
say
early birthday.
Thank you.
You definitely deserve to relax and read that.
I'll definitely like just slide in on your DM and be like, hey.
Yes, do it. I'll send you
one.
Well, thank you. And I hope you have a great summer. No pressure.
Yes.
No
thank
pressure
you so
summer.
much.
Yeah. Like relax and enjoy your summer. Like we'll be here waiting whenever you decide to like publish it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. Be sure to follow us on our socials and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any new episodes. If you have any authors you'd like to see on our show, just send us a DM on our Instagram or TikTok. See you next time.
See you next time.